Now, last time, if you remember, we began the journey down an entity component system, and I had said before that we had somewhat of sort of pieces of an entity component system, and indeed that is true, as we have organized our classes, our methods, or our modules into these class module type things. So we do have some capabilities here that we can utilize. Now, we'll require some changes throughout the code in order to conform to this possible new entity component system. And I believe with that, we should probably begin with the player. So let's create a new file. Let's call it, and indeed we'll create that file in not in the lib, but here out in the middle here. We'll call it, for now, let's call it p.lua. And what we'll do with that is we'll grab all of these items just at the top for now here. And what we want to do is we want to, instead of deriving it from the class, let's derive it from our entity object. You see what I'm doing here? I bet you do. So P is going to be entity derive player. So player itself is going to be an entity. Now, what we'll do is we'll grab the animation data, of course. We'll go ahead and shove that in here as well. Animation data and all of these items here. Let's go ahead and grab all of these things, and we'll need to do a few additional things to our little fellow here. Now, if our player is to be a component, it means our sprite will also be a component, which I think we should go ahead and convert our sprite. So let's go ahead and move him into the components subdirectory here. This is going to break a lot of things, by the way. Okay, so go to sprite. We no longer need an X and a Y. So here, self position, X, Y. See, gone away. No X and Y required. And really, no angle either. Now, if you remember, we added in our entity, when we do an add component, we let the component know who its parent is here. So we can assume that when the sprite update gets called, we'll have that information. So what we want to do then is everywhere we had the position, so we'll search for .pos, and these are the areas that we'll need to change. So let's do this. Let's go local e equals self.entity. So we're just grabbing a copy of that to make things easier. And we'll say e.transform.position.x. Feels like a lot to write, doesn't it? Let's go look at that transform. We could, instead of having it at a vector 2, we could just have an X and a Y. Let's do that. This just feels too much. We'll just do X and then self.y equals y or 0.
And then what we could also do is we could say function t, let's say get pos vector. And then we could just return vector2 self.x self.y. But really, I don't want to use that if we don't have to, because we're going to be changing these individually. So if we were to create a new vector like that, and then you give them the vector and then they change it, they may expect these to change, which they won't. So then that removes that, and that feels a lot better. I'm already breathing a sigh of relief. Okay. So do the same here. And we'll do the same here. We'll grab the entity here. I think we'll do the same thing here. Not sure how advisable that is, since that's going to be called a lot, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it, and if it starts mattering, then we'll come and figure out how to fix it. Now, are we done with the pause? .pause. Yep, no more pause. So this class then, we did say it was the center of the sprite. I don't think that I don't think that's how we were we did it. We needed I would rather have the position of the sprite be let me look. I'm looking to see. No, see, we don't have that. So it would be, let's make that the center, because that's what I was assuming before that we had done, and for some reason we didn't do it. That would be minus self dot width divided by 2. Times, I believe, self dot scale x, so that we can get to the center point, or at least the x center point, and then we'll do the same thing here for y, but it will be height y scale. That'll change all of our stuff. Of course, it won't run right now because we don't have everything like it needs to be. And this is going to be e.transform rotation, right? Yep, rotation. That's exactly right. Okay, so let's say this. Note this component assumes the presence of a transform component. And we can actually verify that by doing the following. We have a function called onStart. Not on Dart. onStart. Because we call that over here in our entity. Remember, when we first run it, if it hasn't started, then we call onStart. So onStart, we can say if, well, we'll say assert that self.entity.transform is not equal to nil. Otherwise, we can say sprite component requires a transform component to exist in the attached. You know what I mean. So then we come here for the player. So this right. And if you remember, we've removed the first two X and Y. So we should say self add SPR. So we're going to change, we're changing around, as you see. So we're making a sprite component. We're adding some things to it. And then telling it to animate. And then we're adding that to our entity, or our component list. Then we want to also do the following, and that is we're going to need to do how did we do that in test last time? Like that. Okay. I want, now we'll just leave it like that. Who cares? I don't. Let's grab this, because we'll want one of these, right? So let's do this following here. Now that's in components. Components. Okay, so we need one of those also. So let's do self colon add transform, and we'll put it at 100 and 0 rotation. So this now becomes right. So all of these become right, but this is going to, of course, be transform. So instead of sprite by position, it's going to be transform, because we're moving the transform now. Oh, I'm so keen to see if this actually will work. We've got a lot of things we've changed. Boom, as they say. I'm going to run it, and it's going to give me a bunch of errors. Yeah, right here. So see our player. Let's do this. I'm going to grab all of this from P, cut it, and I'm going to replace everything in player with that. I know it's dangerous, isn't it? Let's get rid of player, of the P file. Delete it, because really it was just a placeholder for doing this anyway. And now, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, the sprite's not found because that's no longer there. It's actually in a components directory. Components.sprite. And that'll take care of that error, and then it'll be a different one. Utils. Huh. Player. 34. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't do the super. What was that? Self. Gosh, I'm not good at this. Let me look here. This is what we need to do. So we need to do that here, because we're not creating those other pieces of our entity. So we need to do p.super.new self. I think that's it. That's why I was fussing. Yeah. Now we're back to test. So we got sprite. Where is that? SPR. Is SPR here? Yes, there is. Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, so the P is the player. So this is going to be sprite now. And we'll probably have to do the enemy the same way. This will be transform. Grab the rest of these and do transform. Lots of conversions here, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of things to do. Still going to have errors, but let's run it again. Yeah, because this guy is our missile, and he is not set up the way he needs to be set up yet. He's not a component. Let's do that. Yeah, we don't need that anymore. Use entity. We're going to derive our missile from an entity. And we have to always, of course, make sure that here in the new we do this. And there's our X and Y that we need to get rid of. And let's add a where was it? Where were we putting it? Oh, just an X and Y. Okay, fine. We can do this. So we'll add that here, and we'll add that as an X and Y and 0 rotation. And let's do the same little trick that we did here. So then we can just do that. And then we'll add that sprite. Just yeah. Oh yeah. We're getting somewhere. We are. See what happens. It's going to die on us, I'm sure. Missile 20. Yes, this is actually E. Let's change that. Instead of E, let's find E. And let's change it to M. Since we are a missile, or not an entity of any type. Switching global transform. Missile 31. 31. Oh, yes, yes. We need that component as well, don't we? Oh, yeah. Perhaps one day we'll see it come back up. Test.lua, attempt index field. Oh, test.lua. What are you? Right here. Let's search for SPR. Oh, no, 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 no. What happened? SPR. No more of those. Player. We've got SPRs here. How dare we? Those are fine. We don't need to draw. And we don't. Okay, this will be probably. We're gonna have to fix this because that update is going to need to be somewhere else. Let's get rid of these other little annoying. That's going to be transform. Transform, transform, and then these can actually be done that way. We don't. We're not going to need those things, but again, like I said, we're going to have to change this a little bit. 44. I missed one. That's wonderful. Sprite. What have we got now? 47. Oh. It's rotation, no. It's not angle, ladies and gentlemen. That's not angle. Why do I keep... It's killing me. Transform. Okay, surely I've gotten rid of all of those. And then missile.lua. We got another angle somewhere. Right there. Rotation. I probably should just use angle. And I probably will go back and change it to angle. Hey! What do you know? It's working! That's cool. Our boxes are wrong. Which we can fix, because remember, we've centered our sprites now. So the center of our sprite is in the middle. But now we need to do the following, is get rid of that. And I'd say we should do p.super .update self dt, I think, because we want it to do its own components. And did we? Oh, we also, sorry, we need the animation state machine to be updated. That is not a component as of yet. So let's just do that again. Self or p.super.state self d. And we should be good. We are good. We can punch, we can do everything that we could do before, but now we're in a sort of a componentized capabilities here. And, you know, we could go the additional mile here, and I think this probably be advisable. Local transform. And no. Local little transform. And we can say this. Transform equals transform. And instead of self.transform, do we not have any of those? I thought we had some. Yeah, we got self.transform right there. Oh, I know why. I have an R on the end of it. Self. And I need the R. Let's replace that with just transform. Cleans things up a little bit. That way. Yeah, that looks better. And then we could do the same thing for sprite. Right here. Right. And we'll do a find, and we'll do self dot right. And we'll replace that with Beautiful. See, things look a lot nicer that way. Okay. Yeah, we're still good. And now I'm going to go ahead and go in here and I'm going to change this to angle. I know that's going to screw everything up over here in missile because it's where we're using it. So let's go rotation. You know, your rotations, and we'll change the angle. And let's see if that, yep, still good, except we're not working. It's not, why isn't it, what did I do wrong here? So if I go back to rotation, rotation, that, and then go back to rotation here. Must have done something. Okay, that's really strange. I'm going to change it to angle here. And then if I run it now, it's going to say rotation's not found. Right. But I want to change that rotation and that one to angle. Oh, I know why. Because in our sprite, we're still referring to it as rotation. Right there. Change that to angle, and we're all good to go. Angle makes more sense. Now let's fix those bounding boxes. That's easy enough to do. Actually, this is what's wrong right here. We're grabbing that bounding box up here, and we're not changing that scale. So let's do that. That should do it for us. Our bounding boxes have returned, and they look correct. Jump, jump. He hit. Okay. Very good, very good. You know, it's working. It's all working. Things are looking better, I think. So basically, we've made our player an entity in and of itself. And then we've added a couple of components to it. So we'll put down here, create, add components to our entity, like so. Enter. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So now we no longer have that position component attached, or that position data attached to the sprite. That wasn't right. That just wasn't right. Now we've got things more componentized, if you will. I think next time we may componentize a couple of these other things as well. Well, I think definitely, well, no, the state machine. I was going to say we could componentize the state machine, except there's instances where you may want more than one state machine within a component, and in that case, the naming would mess everything up. And we may have to come up with an alternative to that. Actually, we could. We'll talk about it next time. Until then.